so much for joining us for another podcast of the Animal Chiropractic for the Academy for the Advancement of Animal Chiropractic podcast. Really long name. We really need to shorten it one of these days. But I'm Dr. Karen. That's Dr. Byron. We have Rachel. And we have our very special guest today, Tristan Schaub. He's from a lot of places, but he started his company, the Spizz, started in 2023, and he is a connector, a marketing guru. He's a coach for service professionals. He's just an all-around awesome dude, and he can help you with not only animal chiropractic, but so many other things in life that he can help you with. And like I said, he's just a general awesome, in life. But he's just an awesome guy. And so we're super excited to have him on our podcast. And yeah, we got some exciting questions to ask you, Tristan, that you may not have ever answered.
Did you know I was named Tristan because my dad wanted me to be a horse chiropractor?
Oh, yeah. That is fantastic. So tell us that story.
So there was a show back in the early 80s called All Creatures Great and Small, which is based on the book about, right, the veterinarians in like New Zealand or whatever. It was a show, and my parents were debating on what to name me, and my mom liked the opera Tristan and Isolde, and my dad said, well, he'll be an animal chiropractor, horse chiropractor. I remember being 5 years old and him like mind virusing me, like, you're going to be an animal chiropractor and that's where the money's going to be, which is ironic because I know we're going to talk about that because there's a money mindset issue in animal chiropractors. But just so everyone knows, back in the 80s, docs were saying the money's in horses.
That's awesome.
I love it. It was just meant to be.
It was meant to be. And now I think I got something that's going to help not just chiropractors, but even more so animal chiropractors. But it's been an amazing last couple of years in animal chiropractic because you and I have talked behind the scenes and seen the shift of people moving over to that because the number one growing search trend in chiropractic is animal chiropractic. So exciting times.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, I don't know, Rachel, where do you want to start first? Well, these are some of your questions that we have for you, and we'll just kind of bounce right and jump in. But she had some really good ones that I was like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, well, I mean, that first one's kind of a good one. You kind of touched on it as far as things that have changed. So I would just kind of let's dive in and just hear your perspective on how marketing has evolved for healthcare for animal chiropractors in the last couple of years, and how have you seen it change?
I grew up with hidden shit, like can we swear in this podcast or we're gonna
totally we're raw.
Okay. So I always tell this story to docs because I get known for digital marketing and I help docs internal, external, especially this last year. I mean, I've built Chiro One, which, is in Karen's backyard. I don't know where you guys are, Rachel, but Chiro One, I think, is down there, but they reached out to me to help build their one referral a day program. And so like, we're seeing the shift back to like events, dinner with docs, stuff like that. And like what's old is new again. But I grew up in the 80s where it was like, dude, the biggest marketing thing that my dad had was how big his check was at the grocery store, right? Like other than that, there was nothing else. There was no Facebook, there was no website. There was workshops, maybe there was dinner with docs and stuff like that, but it was all word of mouth. Your CAs were your biggest I mean, my dad's CA was the number one growth catalyst for his office, where like she was bringing in 18 to 19 people a month because she would hand out cards at the grocery store. The grocery store was where you met people. That's how life was.
Yeah.
And I think there's a laziness that's happened in our space that forgets that we're in a kinetic, you touch people, like we're like, and there's this like, well, let's hide behind the walls of digital sometimes. And I'm guilty of it too. Like, I mean, I sell that, I sling that, I help that. But what's really, exciting, I think, animal like I grew up again, it was illegal. I mean, it ain't gonna affect my dad now much, but like he was doing the illegal adjusting of animals, in his parking lot and stuff like that, like a lot of docs do. And I think that the biggest thing is seeing the certification, what you guys are doing over there to help legitimize and pull it out of the the 1920s prohibition era chiropractic. So legitimizing it is, I think, a big deal. I think that we've seen what the power of and the right and the wrongs of education can do. Even if we want to knock certain people for out there on social that are doing videos that we don't like. We can tell you that it increases engagement and awareness to get questions that people have. And so it's helped bring people to our doorsteps. But yeah, I hope that made sense. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
No, you did. I love it.
I guess maybe I should backtrack a little bit too, and just because you had touched on your dad about adjusting. So, what is your background with chiropractic? Is your dad a chiropractor? I don't know these things. I should
My aunts,
probably
uncles,
just.
grandparents were all chiropractic. My
That's
grandparents
so
met
cool.
in New York City when the school was in New York City, and they're literally in the school where the docs are being arrested, the professors were being arrested. So you guys have probably all seen those
Mhm.
pictures of professors being arrested at times. They were in that class. My grandmother turned around to my grandfather, flirting with him a little bit and saying, "Hey, Bill, this looks great. We should stick around." So that tells you who my family is. It's like libertarians, don't pay taxes, fight the man, take your standard process supplements with dinner and get adjusted.
I love it.
I
Okay.
got my ass kicked a lot in the 80s and 90s, especially after the 2020. Like the 2020, people don't realize how big this shit was. I mean, this would have been like every viral TikTok video ever, all in one Friday night. 2020. Karen probably remembers this as a kid. 2020 exposing chiropractic. The next week, I got my ass kicked by all the bullies at school because my dad was a chiropractor, and we were rich. So we were not only now, and I'm proud to say that. Like we had a Cadillac, a Lexus. My dad was a show off. I'm not joking about like the big his checkbook was like it was massive and it embarrassed my mom when she because that was his marketing and it was purple like before even what's that name? Steve Harvey. Like he wore Steve Harvey black guy suits before Steve Harvey. And that's how you showed off. Because back in the 80s and 90s, you go to Parker or DE seminars and they would sell you chains and it was how many gold chains you had. That was your personal branding. And
I
oh,
love
how
it.
things have changed. But how much they're coming back to at the same time. It's awesome. So like my
True.
parents met in school. My father is celebrating 50 something plus years or whatever. He has a practice in Mexico now, and he comes back to New York every 3 months, and he has 150 to 250 people waiting for him, and he'll see them for 3 weeks, and he'll fly back down. He's tried to hand them off, but they won't go away.
Huh.
You know,
And they're
again,
just gonna have to start getting older, I guess.
and I grew up in our practice was in our house, so I would have people walking through while I'm eating dinner, saying, "Is your dad home?" Like, "Yep, downstairs." And I was a little brat, 14. I was painting the house. I always tell the story. I was painting the house, and one of his patients walked by, and it was like, "You missed a spot." And I was like, such a douchey little kid. I was like, "You missed a spot," or something like that. I said something really, and I remember my dad coming out in 15 minutes, like just so pissed. He goes, "You see this pool? You see this house? You see those cars? My people come first." And I was so pissed off. For 7 years, I carried that with me. And then I was rolling on Molly one night with my ex-girlfriend, and it hit me. I'm like, "Oh, my people come first. You got to take care of your people before you take care of your family." He was right.
I love it. Okay, so that kind of segues into you've worked with other professionals. We're super passionate about what we do, but they tend to struggle. So, what advice would you give to somebody who, they're passionate, they haven't had that like aha moment, or they just are so stuck in their own world that they just don't know how to share it. So, what advice would you give to those people? Um,
To Rachel about this before. I think she's in Kentucky, and I have this mastermind group I've been helping out for the last couple of years that are in the car space. And I named the new after Kaira Sushi. Before it was called Kaira Sushi, now it's called the Spizz. And the Spizz is based on Spizzerinctum from BJ Palmer of motivated, dedicated, courageous. And it's weird. I'm going to say this, like I've shared this with people behind the scenes. There is more Spizz in the car space right now than there is in the chiropractic space.
Interesting.
We have become way more overthinking, analytical, scared, not the rebels anymore, and forgot just simple shit of connecting with people. So like when I was in the car, like these are rich motherfuckers. These guys were bitching about how much money they're giving to Louisville because of NIL and how they're gonna pull out their $50,000 a month. And they're just simple, simple dudes. And they reminded me of simple old school like your dad, Karen, like my dad, like old school chiropractors that just did a
Mhm.
couple things. They loved and they served. That was it.
Yep.
And we've overcomplicated things. I think that's my answer because I see these guys and I go, "So what's your number one marketing thing?" They're like, "You know what we do? It's one guy who has like 27 car dealerships. He goes, at the beginning of the school year and the beginning of the year, we go to the blue collar factories. We stand outside there with soda pop and we hand it out and we shake hands. Okay.
Hmm.
We go to the teachers and we give them little back to school presents and we build connections because we're in the people business. And I'm like, man, I really wish chiropractors remembered that, because
Yeah.
it's crazy to me. Sometimes we've gotten so trapped into the Google and the Facebook and the leads and the ads. And again, I'm guilty of it, where it just becomes a number and you forget you're connecting with a human being. And we forget that these human beings are not well. That's why they end up at your doorstep. They're not well and they're annoying and they're irritating and they're whiny and they're like they drive you and they're not like my wife, 47 in shape with nice tits and an ass and she's got two kids and she likes to do yoga. Like that's everyone's fucking dream, right? Like I
Yeah.
want the yoga mom and I want her just to be kind of happy and healthy and really just come to get like adjusted and like no one's calling your fucking office going, hey, can you connect me to audio? Like I've been waiting to get connected to
Yeah.
above, down, inside, and out. They're coming to you because you're the last resort.
Yeah.
They're annoying and they're whiny. So the second thing I would say is tough love. Just because you have to love your people, sometimes that's tough love. I have a guy who came to me a couple months ago going, my patient said they want to stop care. And I said, do you ever think to tell them no, they're stupid? You have
Yeah.
that authority. I wouldn't do that. I grew up with this. This is the greatest lie my dad ever said to patients and it shut them up. Well, if I were you, I'd keep coming back.
Yeah.
If I were you, I'd get see you next week. So I think we've overcomplicated with and I think sometimes I'm part of it because I overthink and overanalyze and go, what's this growth hack here and then it just comes down to rudimentary, like just love your people, love your animals. And that comes back to the animal space is like, why is it so great? Why do most chiropractors switching over to that? Because it's fucking easy. They don't fucking talk back.
True story.
So they're not
We
lying
just
to
talked
you.
about that last time.
What was that, Dr. P?
As we just talked about that last episode. The
They don't
animals
talk
don't
back,
talk
so it's
back,
easy
man.
to love and serve them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, that's awesome. So, what would you say your favorite success story from somebody that you've worked with that has seen a big transformation that kind of maybe simplified it a little bit and didn't get stuck, in those weeds of,
I gotta say,
oh, I've got to
I
do
gotta
this.
say it's Dr. Dillon up in Coralville who flew me out last year to Fred Schofield's because he wanted to celebrate the year that we had. And it's very hard to like Dylan's like if I had to say behind the scenes, like my North Star ideal client is a Cairo bro who's in his 40s who's just like, hey, here's the keys to the truck. Just don't crash it. And Dylan's like, do a newsletter. Hey, let's do these lead magnets. Let's do this weird event that I don't have any idea what you're even talking about, but I trust you to do it. And we've had things that have hit it off really well. We've had things we've done lost leaders again that Karen knows about that in the background. We're giving away stuff and we just keep growing and doubling down and tripling down. And so to me, that's a cheesy way out for me to say my best and favorite success stories are when people just like the dogs, they don't talk back and they just say, just let me do what you want to do. And then, I'm always proud of the Jill Cherry story. Jill Cherry, who does great websites for chiropractors, taking someone who was a twisty CA. One of my programs is teaching CAs how to do marketing and empowering them to be more in their position. And she had worked for her husband, and we did our program for 6 months or whatever. She's like, I want to I took her on as a coaching client because I basically said, here's all the things I did horribly building people's websites. Don't do this. And seeing her scale out and just build a little empire. And those are probably two of my favorite stuff. And it comes down to, again, I think if you're going to do something, sometimes you just have to acquiesce and just, shut up and just do what people tell you. I just hired Stu Bernson, who's the founder of Cairo One, to be my coach, my new coach in business development, because I wanted to find the person who had scaled out chiropractic the best. And I was like, so I'm going to go to the best person who's done it without franchises, because franchises are bullshit. You're just selling more franchises. Who has built chiropractic and scaled it out with nothing else, just chiropractic. There's no decomp, there's no soft wave. Cairo One, for all its good and bad, is just chiropractic. And he's built out hundreds and hundreds of clinics. I was like, I want you to teach me to do what you do because my future is I want to build out multiple chiropractic clinics. Yeah, that's my answer.
Very cool. Well, Byron, I'm going to let you ask a couple questions since I've asked a couple.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to go back to a comment in the beginning where you're saying that, the chiropractic world is kind of falling back into that in-person networking, dinner with the docs,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I think especially after COVID and a lot of these new, I want to call them pups, these new people
Yeah.
coming into the animal chiropractic world, when they're approaching, let's say they're networking and they're marketing, and let's say they're, let's call it lower funds for whatever it might be, but the energy that they need to put in, what would be a great approach for them to start? Would it be focusing on the social media? Would it be focusing on getting out there and doing the guerrilla? Would it be, focusing on marketing flyers and so on and so forth? What would be the best approach for them, in your opinion, in this environment for them
You
to?
have no money. You're just starting out. You only have your 2 feet, your mouth. It's literally going healthcare to healthcare provider. There's another great success story, and I worked with them since they were pups. Literally, was Megan and Tyler Hartley, who just got married, and Megan, who's an animal chiropractor, who started with mostly people practice, and it was her energy and output of building relationships with OBGYNs, doulas, taking those shit awful meetings with people that don't know their head from their ass to get the 1 out of 3 that works really, really well. And then she saw that, and I said, "Hey, dude, she's like, I want to grow my animal." Like, well, it's the same thing. It's partnerships with vets. It's getting out there and not being afraid to put yourself out there without any advertising, social media or anything. She grew to a waitlist practice in both capacities. You don't need digital marketing. Digital marketing to me right now is a scale out mode. If you want to build multiple practices, that's when you really want to turn that stuff on. When you want to build out domination and you just want to crush everyone else's nuts, turn that on. But if you don't have any money, that's the reality. Is what we do. We do the unscalable things to scale out, and then what happens is we get to be successful, and then like the lack of success or reduced success starts happening. And what was the reason for that? Well, I stopped doing the things that made me successful. I stopped building relationships. I stopped going because I got busy. So I couldn't do those things again. And that really is the challenge, is staying ahead of like shaking hands and kissing babies and building relationships with people that are going to refer to you. You could get 3 OBGYNs, 3 pediatricians, 3 doulas, 3 vets, all these and 1 out of 3 could be a great relationship. And you can get 12 to 15 referrals a month just because of relationships you built.
Mm.
My greatest builder of my business is my relationship with Close for Cairo. And the beauty of that Dan Bay has done up there, and 7-year relationship is I can raise my hand, say to my buddy, "Hey, if I'm in growth mode, I need help," and he can push something out there, and I have 30 leads versus running any ads, and that's the power of relationships. Is that it's way more important. But so to answer like deeper on the question is most people, I think, are afraid they don't know what they're doing. No one does. So don't you're all in the same boat.
Right.
What do I say? Don't make it about you, make it about them. How do I know it's working? Start tracking your progress. Just get out there. So if you look at you see most successful docs, the irony is that the ones that you see on social media, all they've done is just amplified. I always compare it to professional wrestling. It's like they have a gimmick, and their gimmick is just deeper in the social media world because everyone can see it, but it's the same thing to do in the real world, the physical world. So, if I'm an animal chiropractor, holy crap, I would go door to door. I seriously would. And I gave this to a mutual friend of ours, Phil Rogers, who's an animal chiropractor. I was just on a call with him a couple months ago, and I said, you see these signs for people they get their roofs done and stuff like that, or like outside their houses. And I'm like, I'd fucking be like, hey, can I put up a sign that says these animals are served by, Dr. So-and-so for animal chiropractic, and start doing the guerrilla stuff like that. And oh my God, that costs you what, maybe $5 for a sign and to punch it in if I don't have any money, So that's my take.
I love it. Cool. Well, last question I have before we want to be respectful of your time. So if you could give every certified animal chiropractor just one action step to improve their visibility and impact this month, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to be self-serving here, but I'm going to do it with a reason that I think is super important. And this will be a dichotomy of what I was just saying, because I do think there is a real big importance on the digital side of AI recommendations. They can go to chiropracticresults.com, platform I just launched out, that is gaming the AI recommendations and allowing you guys to control your narrative. And so having been on site with not hundreds, about 20, 25 chiropractic offices this summer, I saw how easy it was for us to get testimonials. And so I looked at that and I said, holy crap, we're getting a lot of great results, but we're not sharing those actual quantifiable or qualitative results out there. And there's amazing miracle stories happening from the animal side, from the people side. If I'm an animal chiropractor and I want to do one thing that's not going to cost me anything and it's going to only help me be found and help me convert new people, I'd head over to chiropracticresults.com, get my profile up there, and start loading up all my results so that can be measured and gained by SEO. So when people are looking for the top recommended, they're not going to just see your star ratings. They're going to start seeing this office has a 94% improvement rate with their outcomes. And so that, and picking up the damn phone and calling vets right now would be it.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
not being afraid if a vet says no. Go
Right.
to the next
Right.
one, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love it. Well,
Cool.
awesome, Tristan. Thank you so much for being our guest. Again, for those people who missed it, it's chiropracticresults.com. We'll make sure we post that below. So sign up, create a profile, reach out to Tristan if you want more information to work with him, or, just kind of pick his brain. Like I said, I always randomly shoot Tristan a message like once a week-ish. Just about some random stuff. It's great. I'll have him post his info down below as well. If you're not an advocate with the Academy for the Advancement of Animal Chiropractic, join. There's other resources like this that we can definitely hook you up with and get you connected. But otherwise, we will see you guys next week. And thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.